Coach.
Good morning, Michael.
Oh, you're a lot more subdued than I am.
Hey, well, it's not race week for me. It's race week for basically everybody else on the planet.
Yes, and I've spent the whole morning cleaning my kitchen with a toothbrush.
You get the taper slash boredom slash nesting has settled in full effect, I imagine.
Yeah, a little bit, little wired, little combination of tired and wired.
Hey, that's your body repairing itself, and you having the excitement and energy of finally having, time isn't of great pressure in terms of trying to get your workouts in. It's like, what the hell do I do with my day?
Yeah. This is my first day off in over 2 months. Did you know that? You probably did, but I'm pretty sure. Full day off. I've missed a little bit here and there on a double or something like that, but
yeah, this is about as consistent as you've been since our first year together.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
Yeah, I would say so.
And maybe more so.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you, especially on the back end.
Yeah, and especially like in things like the pool, like a lot of the workouts when I was just getting started, were a little tricky to actually do for me, even that first year of my training. But now I feel like I can actually kind of do them.
Well, so. I don't even think you're gonna need to be worried about the swim. I think they're actually gonna cancel it. I saw a rumor that there was an iceberg outside of Alaska that was melting at a rapid rate, and it was going to cause flooding, and that was going to rinse through Canada down into the Ohio River, and it was not going to happen.
Oh no.
Yeah, throw that on the
That happened last night.
Facebook page. Yeah, it just happened overnight. We don't know what'll happen. But no, everything will be all good. It's a busy weekend. Around the globe, everybody will be tuned in to. It's honestly, it's probably one of my favorite weekends of the year. You've got the Ironman Kona World Championships on Saturday, which is just a blast, I think, to follow, and it's like the one time a year where athletes can kind of geek out on their favorite pro athletes or watching dynamics happen, and kind of like, you get in the other four major sports like basically every week, and then you've got Louisville on Sunday. You got college football. You got NFL. You got Major League playoffs.
Yep, Brewers.
The Brewers.
The Brew Crew.
And it's a great weekend. It's jam packed with stuff to follow and watch, and so I would definitely encourage everybody. If Ironman's going to have anything close to like the Facebook Live they've been having for all these other races, if I coach you and you're one of the athletes I work with, get to me on Friday because I'm going to be busy on Saturday. I'm going to be.
Oh, I bet it's going to be outstanding. It's usually really good anyway.
It is, and it's what a great do your swim, bike, run work in the morning, grab some breakfast, get your bike checked in, get stuff out of the room, and just go sit back, prop your feet up in the bed in the hotel room or the lobby, wherever. Pull out your laptop and watch some of the best athletes in the world, age group wise, professional wise, compete on what is the largest stage in triathlon every year. So, I mean, what better way to pump you up and give you chills and motivate you to do something special on Sunday?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or not get too overhyped.
Well, I mean, overhyped mentally and emotionally, I think, is a good thing. I think athletes need to have that instilled belief that maybe sometimes they need that switch to be turned. I think sometimes, you're physically ready and you might even be emotionally ready, but you're not mentally ready, or you're mentally and physically ready, you're just not emotionally ready, and that's something that you have to prepare for and be ready to do. And I think it's just a good reminder to watch these athletes and the age groupers alike just kind of do their thing and what it all means. And so I think it's just a good reminder. It's very very timely.
I've got a new mixtape made and my Walkman ready. I will be my pre-race jam.
Do you have our new to be released fall 2018 C26 Fanny pack ready?
I got the Fanny pack
debut?
ready.
Okay, good. We'll be debuting that around the Race Expo, so be on the lookout. It's got a carbon fiber graphite Walkman clip. That's detachable on the left and right side, so you can, regardless of, if you're right-handed or left-handed, you can always have the Walkman or your pocket rocker on each side with, antibacterial foamed headphones. And so we'll be debuting those. They'll be $19.99 plus $28 for shipping and handling.
I can't wait, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped.
I've got the beta version of our Zen meditation pre-swim tape too. I'm going to listen to that and see how that works. I'll report back to you after the race.
Please do. Everybody's excited. Allie's excited to come up. Hayden's excited. My mom's excited.
It's called Om This. Om This.
Om This. And then we have another soundtrack debuted. It's number 6 on our on the CD that we're about to drop. And it's called Beast Mode. And it's just like sounds of like
whales.
The savannah with like background like squeals of wildebeests. Again, those are all for sale and will be soon. You can download those on iTunes for $1.99 or the whole album for $2. Whichever you want to go with.
We're on the down low. We don't really have a booth there. We actually are going to be kind of sitting behind the tree along the river there.
Yep, and with one of those square things and some Venmo. So look out for us. Although I think we're going to take my car, so you can find me at maybe on 4th Street. You can walk up to my Kia. I'll open the trunk, and we can sell you some of those fanny packs out of the back.
That'd be good.
Yeah, we'll just keep that on the DL. But welcome aboard, Crushing Iron Triathlon podcast, where we occasionally talk about triathlon with jokes and a lot about life. And again, like I said, it's your last race of the year, biggest race of the year. A lot of athletes are competing, and then it's just an exciting time. I'm gonna be honest. It's for me as a coach. It's hard for me to stay focused on anything that has to do with me right now, because
It's a good place, man.
It is. I'm just like, which is nice. For the most part. I gotta, sometimes I do a very poor job of focusing on myself and the things I need to do to help me. But right now, it's hard to balance. Having, it's not the amount of athletes you have racing. It's what you have invested. Like managing them on race day is no big deal. Like the haze in the barn, it's just, you just really, really, really want them to do well. And you really, really care that they have a good race and that they're happy and that they execute and all that stuff. And so but it's exciting too. It will be our biggest turnout ever, if you include athletes that we work with at our racing, and then we probably got like 30 or maybe more just coming in town to watch and support them, which is, I think, really, really special and something that I just love about our team. And that, I think people often ask that question. It's like, I don't know, and which is good, I think working, it's tough for athletes to choose whether they work with a coach remotely or in town. And I think that's, but with the way the world is now, as with most relationships, like coach athlete is, it's all based on communication and availability. And now with the way things are, you can outside of Nashville resides 97% of our entire team. And they're sprinkled all over. But the great thing is like, we post pictures from Chattanooga 70.3, Ironman Chattanooga, Wisconsin, camps, Ohio, all the things. Like, all you got to do is meet them once, and you're like family. And so we've got these athletes who are turning right back around from just doing an Ironman, or they're taking a day off. They're taking a sick day or a travel day from work, use to come support people that are on their team that they may only have met once, but they have all these things in common. And so it's going to be a blast. We're going to have people everywhere, and then so many people we know that are racing. I know there's a ton of listeners that we have on the podcast and members in our closed Facebook group that are participating. It's just going to be great. And you and I know we'll have a great time. You'll be racing. I'll be spectating in one of our favorite cities and favorite venues. So I'm pumped.
Yeah, I think it's one of the more underrated parts of everything, I think, because I think back to my early races, and sometimes I would show up alone or maybe with one other person or whatever. And, I'm pretty outgoing in general, but you think you're going to connect and make a bunch of friends there, and you kind of do on the surface. Maybe you can say hi, but everybody kind of has their groups and their thing going on, and it's sort of tough sometimes to crack those walls down. And it's just so, like, when we went to Chattanooga, and I interviewed several of our athletes because I like to feature them in videos and things like that, and we were talking about the community, and Aaron Zale came in, and he hadn't met anybody, and he walked into breakfast, and he was just saying how easy it was just to fall right in, and everybody, we kind of already had the background together, and everybody knew a lot about each other coming in, and he just sat right down with his wife, and just it was all on. Everybody was just like they hadn't missed a beat.
Mm-hmm.
So those kind of things are really cool, and I think about that a lot with racing. Training too, of course, and but when you show up at a race and you got like a crew there, or a team or a community that's built into it, man, it just settles things down so much.
Yeah, it's just good stuff. I mean, it's something that we need, and I think need in the world in general, as a place to, connect with people that, it can be, the way that we live now can be, a lonely and isolating time. Cause you can, you don't have to leave your house if you don't want to,
right.
I know. Groceries get delivered, things get delivered, nothing. I mean, you don't have to leave ever, period, if you don't want to. You can work from home and do all kinds of stuff. So it's connecting with people, and especially with every other, social media post for a lot, it's like all, it's way too much, and oftentimes it's argumentative or divisive, and it's just nice to have like a small pocket community, which I know we have in our closed Facebook group, too, and also obviously on our team. It's just a really great group of people, and every time you'll see a headline of places like, divisiveness in America and things. I'm like, yeah, that ain't my life.
No.
It's like, I don't, that's, I don't care, whatever. You guys do your own thing. I'm happy with the way my life is and the people I have around me, and the things that we get to do. I mean, it's great. It's a special thing, and I'm looking forward to spending all weekend with so many people, and even meeting people that we haven't come into contact with, and just having a good time, and then taking a couple weeks off and getting back to work.
Yeah, I think that the other thing is, like, if you're listening to this podcast, or you're in the closed group and you're not, a coached athlete of Crushing Iron C26, I mean, there's going to be a lot of people, I think, probably wearing C26 gear around, and I'm always amazed at, like, people will come up and say, hey, I heard that podcast, and they'll talk to everybody's so cool, and I just think that I speak for everyone that'll be there, that the door's wide open to go talk to somebody if you see somebody in our hats or shirts or whatever like that. And there's never going to be some kind of attitude about it, because everybody's just, it blows me away every time we get together. But, it's just such a chill environment, and everybody's like trying to help each other, and they're welcome you into the group, and you're welcome to hang out and, do whatever. It's not like that.
Yep, it'll be a good time. So come say hi. You got any picks for the World Championships this weekend, or you probably don't even know who's going to be there?
I kind of looked at that list a little bit, but I really don't have any picks. I do think that I'm biting a little bit on the Starkey thing. I think he might get 5th.
Whoa. I think you're being clouded in objectivity there, but
I am. I think he's going to get off and maybe hold on past the. I think he's going to be out in front so far. And I raced with him last year at Louisville. And he seemed like his run was coming along, and he seems to think it's getting even better.
It's funny how things have progressed in triathlon, and I think if it's you can't ever win the race on the swim, but a lot of athletes will lose it. And I think you're going to see kind of two different dynamics play out in both the men's and the women's race. In the women's race specifically, obviously, you've got Daniela Ryf, who's basically owned 100% of the females and all but 90% of the males for like the last 2 years. She's just, not picking her to win would be like me picking Tennessee to go all the way and win the title. I'm just not being objective. So I think she's my clear favorite to win the women. Lucy Charles is probably the one who everybody has as like the dark horse that could challenge, because Lucy Charles will come out of the water. She's 25, she's young, and she is an absolute stud of an athlete. She's going to come out of the water probably maybe 5 to 6 minutes ahead of Ryf. And you'll watch this, and you should enjoy and love watching it, that Charles will probably catch up. I think they start 5 minutes back of the men, or even 10 maybe, but she'll catch the third tier male pros and maybe even swim her way up to the second. She is just that fast. So a lot of people have her picking because she's also a great biker. She's a great all-around athlete, but I don't think that we've ever had on either side, male or female, an athlete swim, bike, and run all in the lead. It's just really, really hard. And so I think that as much as I'd love to, maybe see a changing in the guard, I actually have Charles in fifth. I think one of the things that's going to not really benefit her is that she's going to be riding her bike basically alone the entire time. And if it's windy, which it will be windy, but it's a long time to ride alone and not have like the free draft you get. So I actually have her dropping down to fifth, because I think she's going to have to just burn her biscuits to go for the win and come off the bike in T2 with the lead. And I just don't know if she can hold on to that. So I've actually got Ryf in first. I've got Hogg in second. I've got Miranda Carefree in third. I just think that I don't think she can pull off a second, but she can run like freaking nobody's business. And I'd pay a couple $1,000 if I could wake up tomorrow and have her run for him. It's just insane. And then I've got Sarah True in fourth. It's her debut in Kona, and I think only her second Ironman. She comes from ITU. I love her. She's awesome. She's an American. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised to see her and Rennie swap third and fourth. I've got Ryf first, Hogg second, Rennie third, Sarah True fourth, and then I got Lucy Charles actually dropping down to fifth. I do not have Heather Jackson in my top five, which is a huge fan favorite. We have a lot of people put her in their top five in our closed group for our Kona prediction thread. Love Heather Jackson. Again, she's an American. You always got to pull for them if you're an American. But she's been in the top five the last 3 years, and usually what happens is you're either going to end up winning it or you're going to end up dropping back. And so I think she actually drops out of the top five this year. The men is going to be super interesting. I know you got Starkey maybe pulling off fifth on the podium. Do you have any idea who you think's going to win?
I really don't. I mean, if I had to put money on it, is Keenley racing?
Yeah, Keenley is racing.
Yeah, I think I'd put money there.
Yeah, it was actually, I mean, looking like a few months ago, it was going to be one of the most like ridiculous top heavy fields, with Jan Frodeno having like just an insane year and running a 106 half marathon at 70.3 Worlds half marathon, which is just, it's mind blowing. Mm-hmm. it's mind blowing to me. I have a hard time reaching that speed going downhill on a good day, for like 100 yards. Javier Gomez is making his Kona debut. He got second, I think, at Ironman Cairns earlier this year. But I think the favorites are obviously Sebastian Kienle, Patrick Lang. You know, you'll have a ton of people who are picking Lionel Sanders to win. And I think I think the really interesting thing is gonna be, again, I'll go back to the swim real quick, is you've got Starkey, who's a solid swimmer, and you've got a guy named Cameron Wurf, W-U-R-F, who is also a really, really good swimmer. They're both about the same speed, I think, in the swim. They'll both be behind Josh Amberger, who, again, will, unless something weird happens, he'll come out of the water first again, like he did last year. He's a great biker. So I think Lionel Sanders' only chance to win is if he comes off out of the water really, really, really close to Starkey and Cameron Wurf, so he's not pulling the train alone. Because if they get up front, they're going to absolutely throw the hammer down the bike. And depending on conditions, you may see 2 or 3 guys come off the bike in record time. But I'm gonna go with obviously you can't pick Gomez because only one person has come to the Big Island and come out with a win on his first try, and I think that was Luke Van Lierde. But I actually have Javier Gomez taking the win. I think he'll swim up in the front pack because he's an ITU swimmer. He's an insane swimmer, and he'll swim like it's nothing. He'll be really, really smart and almost annoyingly smart and patient, which is why I kind of like him. He knows leading on the bike doesn't do him any good because he's a 230, 235, 240 marathoner, and that's what's going to take to win the day. So I actually have him winning. I have him winning the whole thing. I've got Sebastian Kienle in second, but would absolutely love to see him win. I don't think there's anybody out there who can not like him. He's just a super likable guy, and I'll never forget what he said. And we've talked about in the podcast where when he won his title, which I think was 2014, he said, on Tuesday I stopped, something like when he mentioned, he was like, Tuesday I didn't even know if I could race because I felt so bad. And today I'm the Ironman, world champion, so anything can happen, which I think is just a great story. I've got Patrick Lang, who's coming back to defend his title. I have him coming in third. I've got Brandon Currie, who was kind of a unknown athlete. He did terrible last year and got 35th, I think, but he's a great runner. He actually outran Gomez at Ironman Cairns. Got him in fourth. And I've got everybody's favorite triathlete, Lionel Sanders, falling down to fifth. He has, I think, the best chance to win out of those 5 outside of Gomez and Kienle. But I think it's all going to depend on how smart he can be on the bike. He's going to want to lead the whole time, and he's going to have a really, really good swim. But if it's extra windy, then he's going to have a gigantic advantage just because he's just an insanely awesome biker. But I just have all these guys ahead of him, I think, are much better runners at the iron distance than he is. And we'll see. But it's going to be a good race. So I got Gomez, Kienle, Lang, Currie, and then Sanders. But I can't wait to watch all of it. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I can't wait to watch. It's sort of one of these things where I just appreciate the day. And, I've been thinking about that a lot with supporting teams and how this is a little different, I guess, because you're not really that vested in who wins and supporting whoever's going to win. But I just like the whole event. And the minute it's when you start getting into team sports and you start getting invested in your team just because your heart's in it and you want them to win so bad and all that sort of stuff, it sort of takes something away from me. So I'm just kind of staying at a distance and just appreciating the sport for what it is. That's just my angle. Although I think Josh Amberger might make a surprise appearance in that top 5.
Listen, man, I'm telling you, if he'll come out of the water with the lead, and I'm telling you, if he comes out and he hops on it, and he and Cam Wurf and Starkey make a train, and he just lets Cameron and Starkey, because I think both of them know they're probably not going to go. They're not going to win. I think they'll be going for best bike split because I'm sure they have some sponsorship dollars behind that. If he just sits back in third, I mean, he can run, and I think he does fairly well in the heat. So it's gonna be interesting. That I was listening to Starkey's interview, I think, and you just gotta, he annoys people, and I get that, and I also get that he doesn't care, which I love even more. But I think he said something in like his interview that like he'd rather race his race and walk the last mile to a win than play it safe and stick to a certain pace on the run. And I just think that, it may not ever win him an Ironman World Championship, but it's exciting to watch. It's like there's like that's the most exciting part but that's also such the teachable moment for so many athletes at our level. That are, regular old humans, the middle of the pack, to front of pack, back of pack, age group athletes, is that when you're sitting, especially if you're racing on Sunday or if you're racing a full and you want to be competitive or like you have, this is the biggest stage for them. A world championship is at stake, a prize purse that is bigger than anything they will have ever come across in their entire life, probably. And they have that thought of on the bike that they will truly let people go. Lang, Gomez, even Keenley to an extent probably will let some of these bikers go without chasing because they know that they can probably give up 20 minutes to those guys and have no problem running them down. Like that kind of confidence and self-control is what wins championships, and it is also what wins people their own race. And what I mean by wins people their own race is like it prevents you from self-destructing, and we touched on it on Monday. Is like getting out of yourself, and you say this a lot too. Is don't try to be somebody you're not. Like wait. It's a lot of it's like poker. If you've got two aces in the hole and you get one, and you're playing Texas Hold'em, like don't go all in on the first card. Wait till the end, drag it out, be patient, go for the big pot. Don't go for the ante. It's like in these athletes at the highest level, you can watch them do that on Saturday. You can watch them let people go. You can watch them sit in. You can watch them. Because they'll come out with like the motorbikes and they'll have like the dry erase boards usually, I think, and they'll give splits like time, like 8 minutes back, 10 minutes back, 15 minutes back, and they'll let guys like Cam Murph or Starkey come off the bike with a 20 minutes lead, and be fully confident that I got that, because they're probably going to need 30.
I was going to ask, like, what do you think, like, and it's a human element, right? When they get out there and it's like, okay, I got this 20-minute thing in my head, but what if it starts creeping up to 30? Does he get in their head? That's the whole interesting part to me.
I'm sure it does, but at the end of the day, you've got to put all of your money on one person, and that's yourself. You can't put, I've got X amount of dollars to spend. I'm going to spend a little bit here on reacting to you, and I'm going to spend a little bit here on reacting to a little bit less self-confidence. Then I'll just spend the rest on me, because you don't have enough. You got to bet. You got to bet on you. You got to bet your house on you, and that's what these guys will do. And they'll let and of course they're not even going to know. And this will aggravate so many people they aggravated people when they watch Gomez in the 70.3 Worlds. He never led on the bike. He just sat back he just sat back. Because even in 70.3 Ironman distance, even though you have to be at, I think, 4 bike lengths, I think, there's still a draft, especially when you get 8, 10, 9 guys in a row. You just don't have to pedal as hard as you even think. So you're saving all that energy while people are wasting it, and you already know you're the better runner. And so why would you? If you want to beat me, then become a better runner, and and make me play my cards differently. And so I think I just think that's also one of the most interesting things to watch is how like some athletes will totally know that is the only card they have to play. Swim hard, bike as hard as you possibly can you've ever have in your life, and hopefully something happens and you can hang on. Or swim really solid, be very smart on the bike, sit in, let other people do the work because they know that's their only chance. And then you get off feeling so much more fresh than everybody else, and you can run your best marathon, which is the exact same approach you should have as an athlete like you and I and the majority of people listening to this podcast. Is you swim smart, you swim uneventful, you bike even smarter, and then you run like hell. You run the best run you can do, but you can't do that if you've spent money on the bike. If you wasted a few dollars on the swim. You just have to be really, really, really smart about it. And these are the athletes on the biggest stage of the world with, everything at stake for them, not just a making it to the finish line. And so there's just a lot to learn.
Yeah, and it's just fluid, I think, because when you talk about guys like Starkey out there in front, and they know they can probably run them down or whatever, but there's these other people, it's like, okay, well, this dude's sneaking ahead of me a little bit too far here, and I don't know if I can get that run on him. You know what I mean? Like, there's variables, and I think we all face that. I don't know. It's way different in a race like Louisville because you're rolling start. You have no idea where the people you're competing against started and things like that, and it's hard to really kind of track how far you are behind. But if some of these guys are out there going for, the podium or the Kona slot, I always refer to Wisconsin when they had the mass start because you knew exactly if you passed somebody and you saw a calf number, it was on, and some of these people know what they got to do, and they're going to take a little bit of a risk sometimes. That's the other part of it. You got to be real smart, but I think to win sometimes you probably have to take a little bit of a risk. Don't you agree?
Yeah, it's just how big,
measured.
It's just measured. Yeah, I don't think you need to take a risk, but I think you need to be, when it's time, you need to make it your one. And then let's go. You can't. Yeah,
we always talk about, we see him, he's making his move or whatever, and that's the point when he's like, all right, it's no turning back now, or whatever the case is,
Yeah, you don't want to be a person that takes multiple risks, because that's going to end up, with just a really poor, it's just a poor return. It's like, it's like the guy that's doing like the, the stock market. Is he going to bet like $1 here, $1 there? Probably not, because you're just going to lose a little bit of money, but you're going to lose a lot of it because you keep playing the small. Or you could, wait, watch, and then make a moment. See this moment, make a calculated risk, and then win the day. But that's and I was kind of texting back and forth with an athlete, that I work with, who said I think which I think a lot of athletes that have, I think there are a lot of athletes that will be coming into town at Louisville, and will have this mindset of, it'll just be what it'll be. I haven't had the year that I wanted. I haven't had the things haven't worked out in my favor, because let's be honest, things have to work out in your favor if you want like your best thing. Life has to go great, job has to go great, relationships go great. You can't be moving, you can't do those things, you can't be totally healthy. Things more than likely need to work out. But you also have to, but you can't walk in and be like, and feel like you've already lost. Like, you can't have that, like, you can't go in and because I even think this to an extent, like professionally, like these teams that are predicted to have like no shot against these big time programs, the ones that win, even though it might not be realistic or objective, and they're the only ones thinking, the ones that pull off the biggest upsets do it because they actually think, I can't beat them on every day of the week. And if we played 50 times I can maybe beat them once. But all you got to do is beat them once.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And I was texting with this athlete. I said, you need to, if your mindset is anywhere else besides, when you walk onto the green, the great lawn there in Louisville, and you walk on with any other mentality that is, I'm a good athlete, and on any given day, I can do something special, then you have the wrong mindset. Because you can, whether it's been a shitty year, whether you've been injured, whether you haven't had things go the way you wanted to, whether you got a sore throat, whether it's going to be rainy or cloudy. If you're there, you've made it there with some resemblance of being physically prepared. You've done things just like you did in training. We forget that too. You go out with like a horrible night's sleep and all these terrible things have happened. You like come back and you're like, how the heck did I pull that off? You can do the same thing on race day.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to believe that, you know what, I can do something special today. But the only way you're going to be able to achieve something special is if you execute and you're patient. Because so many athletes that come to this like are already mentally and emotionally tough, but you don't want to use up that mental and emotional toughness at mile 20 of the bike. You want to save it for when your body hurts, and then you can do something special. So you have to wait, and then be like, now I can rely on my physical, mental, emotional toughness to just grind this out. Because at that point, let's be honest, the later you are in the race, you can actually start to like believe I could do this. Instead of at mile 60 when you're like, I don't know if I have the mental, emotional, and physical toughness to hold this out. And you already have doubt because it's such a long time. But if you hit the turnaround and you're doing something special, like I don't know how I got here, I just got to go. You have that belief because you're like I can hold on. And so if you're, and you'll see it. You mentioned that guy I think last year at Chattanooga or something. We're sitting down at like the hotel at like 10 o'clock at night the night before. He was like, yeah, but I had this injury a couple weeks ago, or this and this, and he was already basically laying out like 28 excuses about why he wasn't going to have a good race.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Talk your way into winning the day and doing something special.
Yeah, man. I think that's such a massive play. You have to wrap your head around that confidence piece and that belief piece. And a lot, it's very difficult, like as you're sitting around this week and kind of in this limbo, and like I always talk about, sort of like you start forgetting, like, man, do I even remember how to swim or bike, because you just haven't been on it as much. But once you get on, and keep your head about you, it's like you can't turn that on and just crunch out the swim and expect it to turn out well. You have to believe and then go in with that patience and that relaxation piece that we always talk about. And it's like, it's a weirdest feeling. I talk about walking down that ramp at Louisville and jumping off it's almost like walking the plank. It's like there's no turning back. So once you kind of like just give in and accept the fact that you're going to be doing an Ironman, it takes a tremendous load off your back. It's like, look, I'm just going to do this, and I'm not going to do it in 5 minutes. It's going to take all day, and I'm just going to patiently, under control, just, one stroke after the other, one pedal after the other, and one stride after the other. And it's just like, before you know it, it's going to be over. Yeah. It's just, if you can just get into that moment. And like, I do think that that's where people really screw up, is that a lot of times they'll be so driven to get to the finish line the minute they jump under the water. Yeah. And you just really have to look around. I mean, just like, that's, I always tell people, it's like, once you get in that water, just swim as slow as you possibly can right away, because you're going to be swimming faster than you normally would, So it's just like, try to slow it down from the get-go. And I think you set sort of the temperament for the whole day in a lot of ways, if you can do that. Every time you get on, get in the water, and then when you get on the bike, do the same exact thing. Don't start, trying to make up minutes in that first 10 miles of flat. I've been, as I train for this, I've been really, every time I go to the pool, every time I get on my bike, and every time I run, I've been just mentally going through my head. It's like, all right, just imagine the first, half hour or whatever of this discipline, and really trying to gear myself into a place where it's just comfortable and it lets me sink into my pace or sink into my rhythm, versus trying to hit my rhythm right out of the gate.
Yeah.
It comes. It's like, I mean, shit, you swim. It's like, I don't sometimes, like, it's probably different for you or people that are great swimmers, but it sort of takes me 500 yards to really kind of feel good, these days. Or the same with running, It's like, don't expect you to be at top form the minute you splash.
It's just also tough, which is why I think.
I know, it's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think is why it's so appealing to so many people. The training is tough. The execution is even tougher, and the race itself is tough. In a world where so many people look for the easy way out, and for things to make automated decisions for them. I can't even hop on my Gmail now without it trying to self-predict my next 17 sentences.
Oh, I know.
It's just like it's everything in life is trying to make things easier, and you have to basically do less. And in this sport, it's the total opposite. I mean, you've got people who will look to, take the easy way out, just like you will in any aspect or, hobby and sport, or occupation in life. People always look for the easy way out or take shortcuts. But for the most part, like, the people who compete in these sports are looking to challenge themselves, and they're choosing to make their life on the outside what seems more difficult, but for them is actually for a lot of these athletes, making life easier. It's easier to cope with things. It's easier to manage things. It's a good release. It gives them time. They're pushing themselves. They're being a good example, but it's all about how you see it. And you'll have so many people that you'll run into at this race and like, I can't imagine doing this. And then you ask an athlete and they'll say the exact opposite. I can't imagine not doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Because they remember what it's like, what their life was like, and that's why injuries and layoffs and time off is so hard, because they're like, I know what my life was like before that. I don't want to go back. I think about that time so much too. Like, as I'll be 5 years sober next month, and people are always like, hey, is it hard this? Is it hard that? Or how do you? I'm like, dude, I remember what my life was like before. I can tell you right now, one margarita is going to, totally F that up. But look at the way my life is now versus the way it used to be. Why would I want any part of that? Like, zero part of it. I want nothing. And triathletes, while it's not to that same level, they look back and they see the way they've grown and what they've overcome and what they've done and the example they set, and they're like, I had no idea I could do these things. So why would you want to go back? But it's tough. It's tough to make the decisions. It's tough to make the time. It's tough to try to make everybody happy. It's just tough. Mm-hmm. And so kudos to everybody who chooses to make things tough.
Yeah. And on that vein, I would just like to say though, that this idea of making things easier is not all that bad either, if you think about it, because really your life has become easier because you haven't been in drinking margaritas, and you know what I mean. Like, it does make things, it doesn't have to be that hard. You know what I mean? We don't have to and that's why I like to think about too with racing is that if it feels really hard, ease up, and like, spin your pedals and don't like cram them the whole way, and like sometimes going more fluid and easier can make it easier. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Same with the run. Yeah. It's like, if you find your flow, just flow with it. That's another thing. It's like, it doesn't have to be like every stroke you take in the water, you don't have to feel like you're pulling 50 pounds of water back all the time. Just get your arms moving and flow through the water and run light and spin the bike and and don't make it so hard all the time.
But that's true. That's the other part of it. Yeah. It's just that balance.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's the other thing. Is like, we can sit here and say this stuff all we want. I think that's just the point, is that we try to remind ourselves when we're talking about it. It isn't the simplest thing to keep that in mind. And it's when your legs get so heavy at mile 18, and to be thinking about flowing through the air and just picking your feet up. It gets hard, But so much of it is mental, and I think that's proven every time we see somebody come down the last half mile at a full sprint. It's sort of like it was at the Magnus podcast. We just still marvel at, like, we had Steve Magnus. I asked him, I was like, well, how does that happen? And I can't even remember what he said, but it's just I think proof that we're, I think a lot of it has to do with it's sort of that fine line between holding back and being tense versus holding back and being relaxed. You know what I mean? Like, you have more in you, and you're just afraid to kind of let it go because you don't want it to all come crumbling down.
Well, and it's your relationship to how and what major organ governs your body, your brain or your heart. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of people, they struggle with the mental aspect, and they convince their body into going slower because they're afraid, or they're just not mentally tough, or they haven't been there. But like the reason is like that's like always an argument for like, and I even hear from friends of mine like, oh well, if I'm racing to race the whole time, so it doesn't matter where I start. Yeah, that might be true. But then again, like, it's proven, like you get to a dead sprint 50 yards out, and you thought you had nothing left to give, and you've convinced yourself, and you've raced that way the last 5 miles, and all of a sudden you get to the red carpet or the 200 feet from it, and you see somebody with the same number on your calf, and all of a sudden, hey, I got some run legs. Hey, I could do this. So don't tell me it's all about that, because it's not. Yeah, you want to race hard, but you still have that extra little bit to where your mind can tell your body to move it harder and to go harder. And it's also, again, like you said, it's about finding that limit. Like, I even wrote in a few of my athletes' comments today, I said, don't be afraid to fail on these last few intervals. Because I could see, like, when I pulled up the graph they were doing, I could see on these progressive intervals where you're supposed to be giving it basically all you had, that each interval was slowly getting stronger or faster or harder. And then the fourth one was their best. And I just had to write in there because, like, this is a learning experience too. I said, don't be afraid to fail on that fourth interval. Or don't be afraid to feel like you are barely holding on. Because that's when you start to see, what you're really capable of and what kind of fitness you have. But it's also those moments in training to where you're like, can I go harder? I don't know, but let's find out. And sometimes you are going to fail, but quote unquote fail, not be a failure. There's a huge difference. So many things, like where you put quotation marks. It's like you may have like failed physically, but you didn't fail. You probably did better than you would even have imagined. But you have to go to failure and then try to, like, all right, I'm gonna push it harder. I'm gonna push it harder. I'm gonna push it harder. And oftentimes it's so much more of a mental decision than it is a physical reaction. And you just have to be prepared and ready and have gone through it before to make that a mental decision and not just a physical reaction, whether to slow down or to speed up.
Couldn't agree more, man.
Yep, and that'll wrap up episode 206 of the Crushing Iron Triathlon podcast. We come to you every Monday and Thursday and have so for 2 years. If you want more information, you can visit our website, crushingiron.com, or visit my Kia Sorrento on 4th and Jefferson for your new 2018 C26 fanny pack.
Is it 18 or 19? Are we getting out ahead of the fashion schedule?
Well, everybody likes to work ahead. Mm-hmm. Like, what's going to be hip in spring of 2019? A, who cares? B, we just like to get all the information. Yeah. And we like to look at trends, and they may be trends that aren't with yours, but I'm telling you, the carbon fiber graphite holster for the Walkman is a game changer.
No doubt about it.
I'm telling you. And if you listen, I'll tell you right now, if you buy 3 today, I'll send you 2 samurai swords and a set of Ginzu kitchen knives.
That's a deal, man.
Today and today only.
Mm-hmm. If you're liking what you hear on this podcast and you want to, fuel our future, you can go to you can support us at patreon.com/crushingiron. We have a couple of tiers, donation tiers that are like a monthly renewal thing. One is $3.26, one is $13.26. Keeping in line with the 26 logo. I mean, that's all just fantastic marketing right there. Really, if you think about it. Tie-in. We just tie in.
Exactly.
So there's
and if you're a venture capitalist who wants to invest in our growing wardrobe and apparel line, you can email Mike at crushingiron@gmail.com.
Yeah. crushingiron@gmail.com. Now, my connection to social media will be dwindling over the next few days. So if you're contacting me and or expecting something, I'm going to have to back it down. It's an energy
and can I be just like brutally honest?
Sure.
I'm not going to do anything on Instagram, probably in Louisville.
Ooh, the gram will not be.
Yeah, I'll apologize up front, but it will be absolutely the last thing on my mind.
We may be able to recruit some grammars. We like crushing the gram. This would be a good weekend to crush the gram.
We'll have a lot of people there that can maybe monitor and do the gram, but it will be the farthest thing from my mind. So if we take more of a, and that's why we are the way we are. But I will struggle heavily to be on the gram posting Louisville stuff, but we'll be around, so hopefully you can see us in person versus through a filter on Instagram.
Yeah, we're not scaling the gram that hard.
No, we are not, and I'm terrible at it. But yeah. We'll be ready to rock and roll, and if we don't see you this weekend, stay in touch. If you have any questions for me, c26coach@gmail.com. Happy to answer them, and we'll check you on Monday with a recap of Louisville, a recap of everything went down at the Ironman World Championships, and fanny pack remaining inventory. We'll see you then.
Yep, be sure to make your C26 signs for the course. Would love to see them out there. And also, thank you, Louisville signs. So
thank you, Louisville.
Thank you, Louisville. We're going to be excited to be there. I'm leaving tomorrow. You?
Friday.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Friday.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks again for this opportunity to create a podcast with you.
Hey, man. We'll keep it going.
All right. Have a good one, man.
See you, man.
Bye.